Okay, hello everyone. It's good to be back again after a short break last month. I'm just settling into my new office space, so pardon my lack of exciting backdrop here. But again, I'm really excited to be back with everyone today. So we'll just go ahead and kick off this mentor session for today, starting with Carrington Brothers. Carrington asks, what is the best way to handle an upset client over an invoice reminder? The business description and background on the question. I'm a commercial product photographer and I had an automated email sent out reminding a client their invoice was coming due. This email was not received well. The client is pissed and the marketing manager with the company emailed me asking me to email the owner and apologize for sending the reminder. What is the best source of action to take in this situation? So Carrington, this actually reminds me of a funny story when we were first getting started here at MVP, and we were working with a Major League Soccer team as well as a large corporate bank. And prior to the phone call that we had with the client, I kind of rallied the troops, and we were brand new and we were way in over our heads, but we were excited to land our first six-figure project, right? And so, I organized the team and I said, listen, guys, we're going to act like we've been here before. We're professionals. This is our first big client. We're going to handle them with care. And so sure enough, we get on the conference call with the client. We're going through the details of the project and my sales guy out of nowhere just blurts out, so when do we get paid? The room went silent. It was definitely a cringe moment for us. And as someone that, is responsible for the team, I immediately had to diffuse the situation and deflect it a little bit to talk about setting up an APAR policy with our accounting team. But that led to a great opportunity for us as a business to kind of separate church and state, if you will, because as the business owner or the face of the business, and if you're the photographer, you're pretty much a one-man show in a lot of ways, right? Where you're working with the client, you're selling the client, you're actually producing the photos. And so you're out there in the front, but on the back end, in terms of the accounting, it's good practice if you really separate the roles and responsibilities. So something that we did as a result of that sort of gaffe that I had with my salesperson was set up a separate invoicing or an accounting email address. Now, if you're small and you can't afford a bookkeeper or a virtual assistant, it's something that you can manage anonymously, but it's siloed into a different responsibility. So even if the automated system went out to your client, it was coming from an AP department or an accounting department that you don't necessarily have to be confused with what those responsibilities are. And so I think this is a good learning point for you as well. You may be doing that already, but if you can kind of create that separation with where the finances go and what your production and your clients facing responsibilities are will be critically important. But, I'm really sorry that this situation had happened to you. There's really not much that you can do except, contact the client, own it, and just say, it was a gaffe on our accounting team, and what is the procedure moving forward to send out the invoices. And people appreciate honesty too, where we've been in situations where we've had to disclose to our client, hey, these invoices need to be paid on time. We're a small business, and it's critically important to the production in itself and making sure that we're able to hit deadlines. And in being able to do that is having the resources in place through the invoicing. But I think the bigger picture here is, if you can just separate those responsibilities and, kind of create that department, whether it's, I don't want to say fictional department, but just a siloed one where even if you're managing it before you can get a bookkeeper or a VA to help you there, I think that'll be a good starting point so you can avoid situations like that, even from a PR or political standpoint. So good luck with that. All right, so the next question is from Gaber. Gaber asks, how do you deal with criticism of your product mentality? So the background is our company recently launched a subscription site that's better than anything else there in the market by far. However, as you can expect, some say fair criticism of things that are currently fixing, but at the same time, we're talking about a brand new product that's less than a week old. So of course, there are a few things here and there that need to be fixed and improved. I'm good at responding to feedback like this and disarming arguments, but at the same time, I take the criticism very personally and it's killing me inside. I appreciate any tips on how to deal with this on a personal level, as well as in our official responses. So my team has officially coined a term for me when we're building software where I'm, essentially hands off in the primary development of the software, but I'll kind of come over and what they call a swoop and poop, right? Where I'll go ahead and test the software and I'll make comments on, some of the UI design or maybe some of the UX that didn't make sense to me, and I'll provide that constructive criticism. But it's the term swoop and poop is one that gets thrown around here pretty liberally in the air. I just kind of come in and sort of see things for the first time, and ultimately it's a really positive experience for the team and to get eyes on your product, to get different value points and different perspective on things. So much so that we, during our testing, we'll bring people, literally the FedEx guy coming to the office, we'll have them run through experiences and give them feedback to us. And so, we sort of disclose that, our research is really in the sort of beta version of what this, user experience is going to be. So I think maybe in the future for you, when you are rolling out new features or pushing out this platform, you can be extremely transparent on the front end to say, hey, we're excited to launch this alpha or this beta build. We're currently working through a host of fine details, and we would welcome your feedback. Obviously there's going to be some trolls and some negative things, but you really can't take that personally, but see it through the eye of the user, because ultimately they are going to be the ones that want this platform to be seamless and to be flawless in terms of what the user experience is going to be. So I think, getting ahead of it and making the announcement, and almost if you crowdsource the launch to say, hey, we are welcoming feedback, and maybe you can do some incentives there where you can get a sort of more personal touch to what that feedback is. I don't know how or what the intake is in terms of how they're messaging you or providing that feedback, but again, transparency is key. And so I think if you can just kind of make that announcement on the front end, you'll be, the users will be better prepared for what is expected with this beta build, if you will. All right, so the next question is coming from Ricardo Delgado. The question they asked is, how can I start a company culture and build your employees to follow that culture? I'm looking to build up professional barbers within my barbershop. Business description and background is, I'm building my brand business into a culture. I want to have my employees build their careers with the company. I'm having trouble finding where to market and what we benefit if they join us. So obviously the culture comes with the leadership, right? And that's really on you. And so the most important thing, and I think Sean talks about this pretty often, and it's definitely a key pillar in business, is to establish what your values are. What exactly is your culture? And you document that everywhere, whether that's in the job descriptions or the posts when you're looking to hire people, whether that's messaging within your barbershops. You really create that culture wide and known, and let it be known to the world that these are your core values. But you have to take the time and really map those out and strategize how, what those pillars are. Now, some companies have 4, some companies have 10, whatever that looks like for you, you just need to map those out, define them, and then really weave that into your day-to-day operations, your policies and procedures, and then get out in front of that with your job descriptions as well. One of the things that we've been doing as we're looking to onboard new people is put our culture statement right at the beginning of every job post. And so before they even learn what the job is, they know what the company is and what we're all about and who we're looking to retain. And so I think that's been a real important factor for my business. And I think as long as you can kind of frame that out and what it is, what it means to you and your barbershop, you'll be able to attract that talent. And then the other thing is, I think you can kind of get out in front of that in social media. I feel like barbershops can have a great social media presence. And so if you weave what your culture is in the imaging and your branding, it's going to go hand in hand. And so you'll be able to attract, like-minded people. But it's really up to you in terms of, and this is not easy, but during the hiring process, really focus on culture hires, right? This way that who you're getting. They may not be the most skilled barber per se, or someone with the most experience, but you're getting the right fit for your company that's going to help grow it and really, look to stay there long term. So that's what I would suggest on the culture end there. All right, so the next question is from Lloyd Brown. Question he asks is, I have an employee that has been with me for 3 years and come on board with my business, was just beginning to expand and was a tough time. He created a loyalty and friendship, but as time has gone, I feel his lack of motivation to continue to be a mover. He is my supervisor and does play an important role. I feel as if it's time for us to part ways. But at the same time, I need to examine what part I've had in this situation. What should I do? Have one final conversation to see if it can be fixed or recognized, the writing on the wall, and put my energy into someone new? Thanks. Background on the question is, he has a moving company. He's asking because I'm adding a new truck and software that will require additional training for my supervisors. I don't want to spend time training if the person won't be with the company beyond a few months. Well, you're exactly right there. You don't want to invest the time and energy or the resources in the person that's not going to be able to fulfill the role. But I think, as a leader, you really have to take at this stage in the game a personal approach to this individual and really hone in to see if there's any extracurricular or ancillary personal issues that this person is experiencing that is affecting his work, and really have a human conversation with them. One of the things that I'm constantly growing on and trying to improve personally is, being friendly and being honest, right? And there's a fine line where you can be straightforward and like have an honest conversation with someone where it may not be the most friendly, but it's direct, and you're going to have that sort of no BS heart to heart and kind of sift through where these challenges are coming from. But I would take the personal approach first, see what's going on in their life to see if that at all is affecting their work environment. And you can be just very honest with them to say, hey, you've seen a complete decline in your productivity, your motivation, and you want to get ahead of that. And then from there, really assess, based on what they say, if this is going to be the best long-term fit. But I think the most important thing, with, at least this is my leadership style, is to kind of take that approach. Some people will just do a hard line. You know what? You're lacking. Your performance is down. You're out. But I would, just try to get to the bottom of it, and then evaluate if it's worth your effort to, concede a little bit more time, or just have that honest conversation and say, hey, this was a good run. You served the purpose at a time and a place for the company, but we're looking to grow, and I'm just not seeing it. So I think your head's in the right space, and you're doing the right things, but have that honest conversation with him on a personal level first. All right, next question is coming from Yola. Yola asks, how do you shift your thinking, and what steps do you take to go from an independent contractor to a business owner and then to an investor? Business description and background on the question. I'm an independent life insurance broker with a few agents in my organization who are also 1099. I want to take my agency to the next level by hiring staff and growing a book of business. I want to become a mentor for the other agents, but I feel like I have a long way to go. I've been considering hiring a business coach mentor and figured I would start there. Well, Yola, I think that is a phenomenal place to start, and you're in good company in terms of AO and even in the financial services. I know there's other mentors in the group here that have real domain expertise in that industry. So I think that is a great first step, and really learn from other people that have been in your position in the past. And but I will say, I think you do have a little bit of a head start based on your industry and what you've been doing. As far as I understand, being a insurance broker, you are sort of eating what you kill. You're out there hustling, you're selling, you're not on a salary per se, and you're really working towards commission. So having that, and which is a fundamental of being an entrepreneur, right? And knowing that it's on your shoulders and you have to find that next sale, and that next opportunity and continue to build that way. So I think you have a little bit of a head start in knowing what it takes and what the expectation is for what your eventual team would look like. But before that, I would really focus on, memorializing or putting down your policies and procedures as to what made you successful, right? So if you can create this master template, if you will, that you can then train and sort of, this is the YOLA way, here's how we do it, and here's how I can help you kind of grow and expand. I think that outside of, working with a mentor, framing that out, and then really getting the YOLA handbook, if you will, in terms of how to be the best life insurance broker and how to win new business and continue to build your annuities and what have you. You get that documented, and then you'll be set because that'll give you a lot of runway. It'll cut down everyone's time. You won't waste your time in finding new people and sort of just relying on what they've said or maybe what their resume has entailed or what they've earned in the past. But if you can develop that system that is unique to you or that you believe in that's going to help grow, I think that's a great start. And then once that's done, you're ready to go. So I think you're taking the right approach, but lean on the mentors here and start working through, what that template, that business template is for you and your eventual team. So good luck to you on that. All right, next question here is from Lloyd Brown. We're adding additional employees. Should I hire before I'm ready for them to start, which wouldn't be until November 15, or wait until I'm ready for them to start, then hire? Thanks. Business description is I'm adding a third truck to my moving company on November 15, and I need to hire a team of 3 to service the jobs. Movers, I can usually hire quickly, but a qualified manager may take some time. Thanks. Okay, well, the first thing here, and it sounds like you've been able to establish before you hire anyone and before you invest in new equipment, do you have the sales and the revenues to support that new team? Or is this much more of a plan? I would focus on making sure that you have those jobs ready and queued up for November 15th, that you legitimately have a deadline or a benchmark that you need to work towards in terms of qualifying candidates. My suggestion is you can do both simultaneously in the sense of hiring does take time, especially if you are looking for that right manager. You can get that process started and sort of, balance between the start dates and when the new business is coming and starting your interviewing process. And, the one recommendation that I've learned the hard way is to hire slow and fire fast, right? And making sure that you get the right team, and that can take a lot of time. So if you get that started now, it could take you very much. I mean, heck, we're just about at I guess a month away here on October 14th, and so I would start making those preparations and lining that up, and then there's no problem with establishing a start date once you have those people lined up, even if you got somebody within a week and say, all right, well, we're going to start you on the 15th. But most important thing is focus on making sure that your business can support the new team and the costs that involved with that in terms of a revenue perspective. So good luck to you. All right, the last question here comes from Ricardo Delgado. Question they asked are, what are some ways to compensate your employees? Strategies to use to help them stay, and how do you keep up with their progress? Background on the question is I have a barbershop, and it seems like keeping my employees happy can be challenging. I'm just never sure how long they want to work with the company. Well, interesting enough, in terms of the barbershop, right? Starting with your company culture and hiring culture-based, employees can kind of really help you define what their outlook and what their professional goals are when you hire them, right? Because if they're aligned to the vision and to the culture of what you're looking to build, you're going to have someone that is maybe a little bit more entrepreneurial than someone that just kind of has been a barber for 15 years and he or she thinks they know everything, and they're not a good culture fit. So I would start focusing on that and like who you onboard into your barbershop. But then personally, I'm a big fan of performance bonuses or gamifying goals, and they don't necessarily have to be monetary, right? Where they could be sort of continuing education opportunities or skills training that you're reinvesting into the individual based on their current performance, knowing that you're going to invest in them, they're investing in you, and you're going to watch their careers grow together. And again, I mean, I think most people sometimes just automatically think, well, I have to write checks on every type of good performance, and that's not necessarily the case. One of the things that we recently did is, I like to do project bonuses on how smooth and how effective our activations or our projects go. And so if we have, I set a benchmark of margin of error, right? And we're professionals. Things go wrong. We know that. But if we kind of track our system and our procedures and it's a very smooth production start to finish, I'll reinvest into the team and reward them. And, for example, I bought 2 team members recently Razor scooters as their commute is a little bit longer. We live in Philadelphia, most of my team. And so based on a job well done, I was able to gift them, if you will, a performance bonus of these electric scooters that, you would think that I had written them a $10,000 check, but it's that personal approach that you can take to the individuals and what their needs are to really kind of create that sort of team environment and knowing that, I'm going to do my best to hit these goals because they're, James or Ricardo had invested and believes in me based on my performance. So, those are the things that build loyalty, and think about ways that you can kind of gamify it, make it fun. Maybe even a little competitive. That never has hurt anyone in the past, but just don't think, it has to be monetary. It could be a host of things, and you'd be surprised what, inexpensive gifts can really do to the culture and to employee satisfaction. So, so I wish you luck, and I guess that really kind of wraps this up here. I'm again thrilled that we're back after the short break, and I look forward to our next mentor session. All right, have a good day, guys. Bye.